Good afternoon, everyone. I think we're just about pipping into the afternoon. Welcome to this glorious setting. My name is Tamsin Westhorpe, and I have the honour of hosting this event today. I'm a gardener in Herefordshire at Stocktonbury Gardens and also a garden writer. So joining me today to talk about their beautiful publications is Stephanie Mahon, who's editor of Gardens Illustrated, and Jake Hobson, who's founder of Niwaki. So I've got a multitude of questions, but I will leave some time at the end for you to ask some as well. And on the screen, you'll see a few snapshots from the magazine and from the book. So I'm going to start with the question that has to be asked, Jake, I'm afraid. How do you say Niwaki correctly, and what does it mean?
Well, I say Niwaki.
Yeah.
Niwaki. So you can imagine whacking someone's knee. And it means garden tree.
Perfect.
And there's a lot of story behind what that means in itself. But yes, it's a basic translation, is garden tree. Yeah.
Good. Right, we've got that cleared up. We all know, which is fantastic. And then, Steph, you're sitting in front of what I can only call a weighty tome. Now, it's called The New Beautiful, and it is a new venture for Gardens Illustrated, isn't it? This is your first book. Why now is there a book from GI?
Well, yes, obviously, it's all about social media these days. It's all digital, and it seems kind of strange, maybe, to be thinking about a print product. But we know that our loyal readers, people who know Gardens Illustrated well, people are hungry for something you can hold in your hand, an experience. You know, I think both Jake and I are kind of with brands that are all about slow gardening, all about quality, beauty. And even though you can look on a screen, it's just not the same as holding it in your hand, feeling the pages between your fingers, flicking through, seeing it in those beautiful spreads of these big images our wonderful photographers have taken, that when you see them tiny on a phone, it just doesn't do them justice. So we felt we had the opportunity with the publisher Rizzoli to bring this together. And we just thought, yes, this seems really right for us. And especially now, as everything's heading in such a digital focused direction, that we could make something really special that people might want.
So the book has 52 gardens, I'm right?
That's
all
right.
that have been loved before,
Yes.
but are getting the opportunity to sparkle again. So it's absolutely gorgeous. So Jake, your publication is a bit smaller, so which is great. And this is the second, so one a year. The first one I have here. And I wanted to ask you, it's called The Field Report, which feels quite sort of, you know, academic, but it actually is. It's got long reads. It kind of breaks away from this short, quick info. It's a real settle into. Tell us why your brand has ventured into this product.
Yeah, well, I mean, like you were saying, I mean, the more digital everything becomes, I think the more valued a nice old-fashioned bit of paper becomes, and all the sort of the analog element of photography and physicality of paper. But we have, we've got so much to say at Niwaki, and some of it gets lost. You know, we do our Instagram, we do sort of stories on the website. If you visited niwaki.com before, we're sort of always updating it and trying to make it fun and engaging and educational and I mean, fun is probably the biggest word to use. We have fun, and we hope that everyone who sort of shares it with us enjoys it. But I travel a lot. I've spent a lot of my time in Japan. We've got this guy who works with us called Alex Edward, who's got a lot to say about things, and he loves deep research. And we've got some really interesting friends. So everyone we know likes talking about gardens or has something to say, often quite opinionated as well. So it just seemed like... almost seemed like the obvious thing for us to do.
And what's quite fascinating is both of your publications venture outside the UK, so you're picking up gardening expertise. So, Steph, is that well received by readers? Are people sort of latching on to ideas from different parts of the world?
Yeah, I think especially with the changes in climate, It's becoming more and more that Mediterranean gardens can inspire dry gardens here. You know, the planting choices are changing quite rapidly for people in different parts of the country. I would say sometimes we have UK readers saying, why do you do international gardens? And then we have international readers saying, why are you doing so many UK gardens? So everybody wants more of what's on their doorstep for sure. But I've always believed that you can take inspiration from any of these gardens, because it might be where a piece of furniture is placed, or a beautiful view, or how different plants are combined together. It isn't always have to be so set on, well, if it's not in exactly my situation and not exactly the same type of garden as mine. I do think you can draw inspiration from completely different projects to your own. But there's also seeing other landscapes in different places, like in Australia or in San Francisco. You know, it's like armchair travel. It can be inspiring on a whole other level, just to see something that looks so completely different to what you're used to. And I think even if people aren't necessarily immediately drawn to that, they can get an awful lot out of it when they do see it. It's, you know, opening their eyes to things.
And Jake, when it comes to sort of practical horticulture, your publication sort of follows techniques that are used and plants that are grown. What's the biggest bring home for you from your travels?
About this in particular, I think it's the people. It's how, I mean, the first edition we sort of did, we always try and sort of have a vague theme which we start when we're sort of working out what to include and what to research. And the theme for field report number 1 was graft, was people and hard work. And when you see how much everyone enjoys what they do, but how hard they work, it's so inspiring. So there's a lady in Japan called Midori on the front cover of the copy you've got, in the Tokachi Millennium Garden in Hokkaido, who, with a team of 2 others, has this enormous, great big garden. She's actually just moved on. She's got a new project starting, but enormous garden that she worked on. And the Portland Japanese garden in Oregon it's just the devotion and the commitment and the passion that the individuals put into it, which is the same for almost any garden you go to, because that's why we all like gardening, obviously. You know, it doesn't always look like fun when you're down on your knees doing whatever it is you're doing, but that's what makes us all tick.
It was interesting in your forward, Steph, of the book, you said that you think this is the end of the sort of instant makeover. Why do you think that? I mean, I think you're right, but people seem to be taking their time and sort of settling into a place and looking at things in more detail. But what sort of led you to believe that people might now be thinking gardening is something for the long term?
I think there's been a real shift in the industry. You know, it used to be that designers would come in, bring in big trees and maybe plastic grass and different things and make a garden very, very quickly, and then it was supposedly done. But things are changing, and as I talked earlier about slow gardening, there's something about understanding your garden as a circular place, an ecosystem, sharing it with wildlife. It's not just for you, it's for all of the other creatures that might also live there or visit. And all of this feeds into this new idea, well, not so new, but an idea that's gaining some traction, which is that it's about the journey, not the destination. It's not about having, okay, my garden is perfect, now it's done. It's never done. Anyone who gardens knows that it's never perfect, it's never done. There's always something else that you're going to want to do or change, and that's the joy of it. We like actually gardening. You know, that's the pleasure of it. That's where the passion comes from, about learning about new plants, planting them, trying new things. And so, especially for our readers, we know that this is true. We know that they're knowledgeable and passionate, and the point of it is to take part in the gardening and to be always finding new things. So instant gardens, I really do think their time is over, and a lot of designers are telling me that, and that they're working more closely with professional gardeners to develop, you know, these skilled people. They're like artists and scientists and social workers all wrapped into one. And their role is to develop the garden onwards and edit it as it keeps going. And that's the age we're moving into now. We're recognition of gardeners, how important their role is on the professional stage. And then also for people to do it as a pastime, that's for their well-being. That's, you know, going to help them in the actual doing of the gardening, as opposed to just having an outdoor room that you can sit in and it's supposedly perfect and finished like a picture.
So the doing of the garden, as a gardener, I mean, that's music to my ears, because for years it's been designers, 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 and what about the gardener? So Jake, obviously you are passionate about gardening because of the tools you create.
Yeah.
Who is your magazine based, who is it for?
It's kind of for me, actually.
Brilliant.
I'm afraid. Well, I mean, which is Niwaki's for me. I mean, I do it because I enjoy it, and I presume that because I enjoy it, I can't be that weird that no one else is going to enjoy it. So that's most of our decisions are based along, well, if we like it, other people are going to like it. So we are our own kind of target audience. It's for everyone. It's for people who obviously enjoy gardening. But I mean, there's articles in this one about the snow trees of Japan, which are these amazing trees, if I can find it, having said there's an article here, which get completely covered in sort of 3 meters of snow every winter. And it's got nothing to do with gardening. It's just this most incredible sort of surreal landscape, which you have to go snowboarding to go and see. And that's fascinating. But I think that's sort of all part of our story. We're not just into gardening. We're into sort of exploring and discovery and landscape. Because for me, gardening is basically creating a landscape. My own little garden in Shaftesbury is full of plants, and it's very sort of manipulated. It's incredibly kind of artificial. But all I'm trying to do is create a natural space in there that feels like a genuine landscape that sort of has a sort of a stillness to it. And that's what we're exploring in here, really. That kind of thread through all the different stories.
And so it's available across all your stores, online?
It's available everywhere. It's online at niwaki.com, at our showroom in Semley. I hope all of you have come or will come soon to Semley, or our shop in London in Chiltern Street. Some of our wholesale suppliers sell it as well. And it's 12 quid if you want a copy.
But it was quite interesting, because when I sort of heard about this, I thought, is it going to sort of be an advertising project for a brand? And it so isn't. Which is really refreshing.
I got criticised yesterday. A guy, I was in Paris, and he was saying, how do I know this is you? It's only got a very small little logo here, and he wanted more. And we said, no, we're desperately trying to sort of not make it about us. It's about what we like rather than us ourselves.
But I think that's the thing with both of these publications. It's almost a relief, isn't it, to not be logoed up. It is just sort of like, oh, good, someone's taken a lot of time to create these publications, because things move so quickly, as we know. And I know, Jake, you were saying you do one a year. You'd love to do more, but it's time, isn't it? This takes time.
It's exhausting. Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Speak to Steph, who does like 13 issues a year. Now, Steph, obviously you daily create Gardens Illustrated that we all love. What makes a GI garden? You know, how do you get into the magazine? What are you looking for?
Yeah, so this was something that we had to sit down when we decided to do this book and think, well, what makes a Gardens Illustrated garden? And we sat down as a team and we talked about it. And at first we could only really sort of say, well, this is a bit rubbish, but you kind of know it when you see it. It's a gut feeling. It wasn't very helpful. So we started trying to drill down, and I also spoke to previous deputy editors and editors to understand what they thought a GI garden was. And I think in the past, before my editorship, definitely the one thing we could all decide on, agree on, was that a Gardens Illustrated garden will sit very comfortably in its surroundings, whether that's in the city or in the countryside. It feels natural. I know that sounds silly to say about a garden, but it doesn't seem out of place. So that was very important. There were other things, but obviously it has to be stunningly beautiful, but that can mean different things to different people. So we didn't want to be prescriptive about saying it has to be an English country garden, it has to be a designer garden. But we started talking about it more and more, and we realised that things have changed now, and that it isn't enough for it just to look good. It has to be good too. It has to also, we would check on the provenance of everything. We either commission everything that we publish, or we get sent images that photographers have taken, and we want to know all about. If we don't know the place that they are suggesting, then we need to find out everything about it. We can't possibly be recommending places where they're still using chemicals, or places where they're not thinking about having this circular economy, composting, doing all of those things where they're not just not hurting wildlife, but actively wildlife friendly in lots of ways, progressive, innovative, really thinking about everything they do and why they do it. Thankfully, there's an awful lot of people who do work that way and think that way these days. So we settled on this idea that it was very comfortable in its place, and that's because of how it's been made, and it's been made in this way that's very natural, no chemicals, wildlife friendly. But also, to be honest, the ones that we love the most, you can see the love and the care that people have poured into them. You can absolutely tell from the atmosphere and from meeting the people and talking to the owners or the gardeners, the love they have for the place, the passion they have for it. They know every plant like it's their child. They have stories about things. It's so wonderful. So I think that's, for us, what makes a Gardens Illustrated garden.
Gosh, you've got a lot of work to do if you want to get into the magazine. So it's not just a chocolate box cottage because it's cute.
No.
There's a lot more thought gone into it.
Yes.
And I think this is what we're seeing in horticulture generally. Again, with things like tools, people want to buy one thing that's going to work. Are you finding that, Jake, that it's quality people are after now?
Luckily, that's exactly what we're finding. Yeah. So Niwaki, if you don't know, we're a sort of Japanese tool company, and we make amazing secateurs and weeding and digging tools and things. And yeah, luckily, since we started nearly 20 years ago, there's been a sort of growing appreciation or sort of lusting after really good quality tools that, you know, they say a bad craftsman blames his tools, but good tools do make such a difference, and people do enjoy it, like with their garden or like with even with clothes and things. There is a sort of nice little journey that you can go on with some tools. Some tools, I mean, even you were saying how quickly you can lose something in a compost heap. You know, of course, things disappear magically in the garden all the time.
He's quite pleased about that, though, I think.
We like that, yeah.
So.
Bring them on. We like compost heaps. Yeah, it's people do value something that is. I mean, it doesn't improve your gardening skills necessarily. It doesn't necessarily make your garden more beautiful than it already is, but it does on a technical level. Obviously, a clean, sharp pair of secateurs make for a clean, sharp cut, which is healthy for your plants and doesn't bring viruses in, things like that. And, I mean, some tools like our hori-hori, if you know what a hori-hori is, I think there's some behind me here, do make certain jobs much, much easier. And an easy job in the garden means you enjoy it more and you get it done quicker or better. So, yeah, tools are a good thing.
Just saying, I've not used my trowel since I bought a hori-hori 2 years ago. So they're just unbelievable.
There we go.
Right, so I just wanted to touch on the actual title. So, Jake, you've gone for the field report.
Yeah.
How much thought went into that? How much storyboarding and
we had a few other, I
ideas?
can't remember what they are now, but we had quite a long list of options, but we liked the idea that we were reporting. We liked the idea that we were out there sort of researching, investigating, and a field seems appropriate, and that we were literally going out into the field. But also a sort of field reporter is quite sort of romantic, and it evokes sort of, you've probably got a nice canvas satchel over your shoulder and an old little wind-up camera. So we quite like that kind of slightly adventurous kind of spirit, which I hope we achieved.
It definitely does. I mean, honestly, you just feel like you've travelled across the world. I love the fact it's a long read, and you've taken some gardens like the Great Dixter in the first one, Beth Chatto in the second one, and that's actually quite interesting. You still keep featuring these amazing gardens, so which just shows, I suppose, they are moving with the times. Is that right, Steph?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a whole chapter in our book for heritage, historic properties, are really well-known gardens that have been around a long time, but that are continually upskilling, innovating, and changing how they do things to reflect what's happening. You know, so we have Beth Chatto's in there as well. We have Dixter, we have Sissinghurst, and several other properties that everybody be quite aware of. You know, does everybody know that in Sissinghurst now they don't water in the summer, and if everything turns brown, it turns brown. And so I think that's really brave what some of these historic and heritage gardeners are doing, because they know that it's right, and they can't keep doing things the way that they always used to. You know, at Dixter, it's all about ecology now. So it's wonderful to see these gardens moving with the times.
Really good to hear for all of us that haven't got endless hose pipes and boreholes. So it is.
I mean, Great Dicks is becoming more and more relevant the sort of the older it gets.
Yeah.
My mum, who's a mad, passionate gardener, was complaining about Great Dicks, saying there's too much cow parsley, and it's too wild and it's too overgrown. And I mentioned it to Fergus, and he said, "Oh, for God's sake, so many people come and moan about what they're doing, and they're making all this effort to steer it into a slightly more sort of natural and relaxed approach, and people are, it takes people a while to adjust to that. So for them to sort of step forward and make that statement, it's brave.
Yeah, very, very brave. Right, we've literally got sort of 8 minutes left, so I'm going to ask you both another question and then throw it out there to the audience so you've got a chance to ask a question. So, Steph, if you were to curl up with the field report in a garden, which garden would you choose from your book?
Oh, it's a tough one because there's 52 really amazing gardens in there that are close to my heart. But I would have to say there's a gardener in Sweden called Peter Korn who grows in sand, very innovative. People thought he was completely crazy at the start when you're like, you're growing in sand? But now everyone's growing in sand. And I have not been to this garden myself yet, and I'm very excited to go. So I would love to read this beautiful field report in that garden.
Okay, and Jake, is there a garden, not necessarily from the book, because it's literally hot off the press?
I don't have to carry that to the gardens, do I?
So is there a garden that you would choose to sit
Well, I mean, most
time?
of my favourite gardens are in Japan, and they're not city down. They're not sort of, although they're they're sort of relaxing and nice places. It's not. They don't have benches in Japanese gardens. They're not sort of. So I think actually, I think my own garden.
Oh,
I think if I'm
good.
allowed to say that, I think that's my favourite garden, is my
Okay.
own. And we've just built a lovely little sort of extension with an office in it. So I'd sit in there looking out at it, and look forward to
That's always good when you like your own garden best.
Afraid
isn't
so,
it? That's
yeah.
what we're all aiming for, let's be honest. Right, we've got time for a couple of quick questions. So I think there's a roving mic wonderfully. Oh, there we are. Anyone got a question? Yes, down the front, in the middle here, gentlemen. Hang on.
Sorry.
Oh, well done.
As a gardener myself, I'm always trying to future-proof the garden, down to environmental stresses. You've always got to be a year in front. You've always got to plan. But what's your spin on future-proofing? What's the way forward? Any pointers?
Well, definitely resilience is the watchword at the moment for everybody, because look at what's happened in the last 2 years. Last year in the summer, it just rained all summer, and then this year it's been so hot and dry with all these droughts. It's really difficult, and on the magazine we spend a lot of time talking to nursery people, plant experts, everyone going, what are you doing? And to be honest, they say, well, we don't bloody know either. Like, we're on the same journey as you guys. I think it's about trying things. And so doing the best you can. And it really does depend on right plant, right place, right purpose. So if you are somewhere that's dry, free draining soil, it's obvious to look for Mediterranean plants. But if it's cold and wet in the winter, that's probably not going to work. So we're definitely getting into more individual stakes. I think it's about educating yourself as best you can about plants, where they come from, what they like, and then you'll be in a better position to go, okay, I think this might work, and trust your instinct. Give it a go. I think that's the most important thing, because nobody knows. Plants don't read the books. They don't read the RHS website. They don't know how they're supposed to grow. They will do different things in different places, you know. So I always think of Keith Wiley down in Wildside, who does terrible things to Angel's fishing rods, diorama. Like he mows them with the mower. He, doesn't water them. They grow so big. He's like, oh yeah, we get, so much rain. And then somewhere else, they'll act in a completely different way. So you can't really, I feel, anymore apply specific, this is how they will grow to this height and they need this soil. I think we all need to be a bit more experimental and think about it, try stuff, see what happens.
And I think visiting gardens, my garden's open to the public, and I've noticed this summer for the first time people are actively visiting to see what has survived, rather than going, oh, doesn't it look awful, they're going, oh, good. So we're all on the same journey. Yeah. Right, we've got time for one more question. Lady over here.
Yeah. Is it one? Yeah. Question for Jake. Teach at a horticultural college in Dorset, and we've just been given the Japanese garden. to restore. I wondered where you would start that journey.
Golly. Well, it's a very long, slow journey. I wouldn't rush into anything. I'd wangle a research trip to Japan, first of all.
Could she write an article for you for your next?
Exactly, yeah. I think it's Japanese gardens outside of Japan are they're a tricky thing, especially for someone like me who is so sort of invested in Japan itself. But it's about looking at what that garden was originally meant to do. And was it a stroll garden that you would walk through? Was it a sort of more like a temple garden which you would look at? And it's understanding what the original intention was and not trying to do too much with it. I think the danger with lots of gardens, obviously everyone has this problem, is you want a little bit of everything. And a Japanese garden in particular can just become an enormous pastiche. And maybe you've been to Japan, maybe you haven't, but you've seen books of it and you think, oh, I'll have some of that, have some of that. And it can go really wrong at that point. So it's really understand what it was meant to be, what you want, what you're trying to make it, and then go from there. I think. Yeah.
Sounds very
I'll
exciting.
come and visit. Sounds good. Yeah.
Now, just to round up, what are you hoping that these publications will do for the reader? So, Steph first. What's the sort of end game? When will you think, yes, that was worth all the work?
Well, obviously, if we sell out of the first edition or something, it's been quite popular and we've done very well. I guess one of the things that we're hoping is that my mission is really to tell people all about this idea of the new beautiful. That we have these traditional gardens, we've done things a certain way, and British gardening, you can hear I'm Irish, but British gardening has always been, stood up in the world on a pedestal as, the pinnacle of what we do. And everyone else around the world has tended to copy that or want to invest in that, find out how it's done. And with the new beautiful, it is about how things are changing and about how the idea of what beautiful is changing for gardens. And that I want people to embrace that and not to think, oh, it's so messy. And I feel that if by showing people how beautiful it can be to also be good for wildlife, to be good for the environment, to be resilient and sustainable, that more people will get that message. So it's really about my mission is to make sure that everybody gets on board with this type of gardening and can learn to find it just as beautiful as I do.
And it's worth pointing out that the book features urban spaces, small spaces. It's not just big country spaces, there's public spaces. Yeah. So it gives you a really good overview of what's happening in horticulture. So, Jake, what's your hope for the field report? You want to do a lot more trips abroad, I can see.
Trips abroad, keep it going. One a year is our sort of promise to ourselves, and to see where that can go. I mean, I think it's about meeting and working with new people and finding. So we've had a couple of contributions in here from a lady called Sophie Walker, who's a Japanese a garden designer, but she's also written books on Japan. A friend of ours called John Warland wrote a great piece on the Beth Chatto garden. So it's about hearing other people's thoughts and sort of slightly expanding from our Niwaki way of looking at things, because we're quite focused on one thing. So it's trying to branch out. And we're not fooling anyone. I mean, it's a commercial product. We're hopefully selling it rather than giving it away. And it's what we hope is that it will find its way beyond our Niwaki core, beyond gardeners. I mean, there's a lot in here. Hopefully, a non-gardener would find this as interesting as a gardener. And everyone has a vague interest in gardening, but I think absolutely everyone finds something in here that's fun. So it's about reaching new people, really.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, thank you to both of you. I think what you're doing is fantastic. They're both so beautiful. And Steph's book is for sale in the bookshop, and the field report is for sale on the Niwaki stand. Yeah, do please come and visit us this afternoon, right now. Yeah, and treat yourself to a hori-hori. And I'm also saying that the herbaceous sickle scythe has saved my hand from repetitive strain, saved me from hours, honestly. So do go feel the tools, actually, I think is the thing. Don't be scared to go along and just pick them up and think, oh, that's light. Steph's book, maybe just, take it a bit easier on that front. It's light as a feather, guys, honestly. No problem, take one home. I think they've got wheelbarrows here, for the big shopping. Yeah. Oh, well, thank you very much. I'd love it if you'd give Jake and Steph a round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well done.